Hey Green Thumbers, welcome back to my channel. This is Alicia with Green Thumb Diaries in Zone 6B, Michigan. Today I am just doing a lot of harvesting so that I can make room for some of the summer crops. You'll notice I'm not harvesting everything that probably should be, but that's because I want to give us a little bit of time to try to eat it before it bolts, but also before I have to plant the new summer crops. So I will be getting everything harvested. I will be pulling some things out that are still thriving, which is the hard part. But stay tuned and I'll take you along as I do that. As you can see, a lot of the stuff in this bed has bolted. So I'm starting off with my radishes and I'm cutting off the top piece of the radishes as well as the roots. And I'm just putting the radishes in my harvest basket. There is a lot that has bolted in this bed, which is actually good because now I can make room for my summer crops. So I'm just going through trying to figure out which ones need to be harvested now versus which ones need to be harvested later. These are Asian green. I'm going to butcher the name, but I think they're called Chim Jimshin. And I started these from seed. And basically what I'm doing is I'm cutting off the roots, but I'm actually taking off all of the leafy greens. I don't know because I've never had this vegetable. I'm not sure how it tastes after bolting. I know sometimes people say that, once something bolts, it kind of gets bitter, but I'm still going to harvest this so that I can cook it and so I'll know for myself. I do a lot of hot pots and stir fries, so that's really what I'm going to use it for, which is why I planted it. So every one that I do pull up, I'm going to take off the greenery so that I can cook it. Ladybug! Oh, she flew away. I was so excited about that ladybug that I wanted to show you guys in the camera, and as soon as I was lifting it up to go in the camera, it flew away. So hopefully she makes it back over to where she was so that she could keep eating the non-beneficial insects. But for now, she flew away. So for now, I'm just harvesting everything. My peas, you saw that I harvested the Asian greens, and I have peas in 2 other beds, so I'm going to harvest all of those. And then once I'm done harvesting, I am going to go back and pull it out. I just wanted to show you guys what the peas actually look like in the pods, and they are so good. Oh, I won't fail. They taste so good. So good. So good. There are 3 different varieties of peas. My favorite though is this one I'm showing now, the Sugar Daddy pea. And they were planted out in the garden by seed on 412. So I'm just going to continue to harvest. And once I'm done, I'll pull them out. So in this bed that I'm harvesting now, those are actually snap peas. So the ones that have like a thinner texture. And I don't harvest them for the actual peas. I harvest it for the whole pod. And it's really important to harvest these when they are relatively young and still kind of small, because once they get big and the peas do mature, they start to lose flavor. Over here, I'm harvesting out my broccoli rabe, and I'm basically harvesting it because it just doesn't seem to be thriving and I need the space. So I figured I may as well harvest it. I know some people, when they harvest, they leave the stalks in the ground and just harvest the top portion. The only reason why I'm not doing that in this scenario is because, like I was saying earlier, with lettuce, it'll keep growing. So I'm pulling it out because I don't want it to keep growing. I want to plant something else there. And some of this lettuce is nowhere near bolting. Some of it is just thriving, but you have to make a decision, because being in Zone 6B, Michigan, we only have so many days of summer, and I have to still have enough time to plant my summer crops and then have enough time to actually harvest off of them. So although there are a lot of plants in here that are still thriving, I have to make that difficult decision of harvesting it just so that I can get my full season's worth of growing. And here I'm just cutting off the two leaves that aren't really doing too well, because I don't want the plant to focus on repairing those two leaves. There's still plenty of leaves there. So I cut them off so it could focus on root development and then fruit production. I am harvesting out these cabbages because, compared to my cabbages in my other bed, which is starting to head, these have no semblance of a head anywhere on them. And I need to get my okra planted and another pepper planted. And so I just had to make that decision. Even though they weren't dying, they still looked good. They still had a little bit of time to potentially produce more leaves. In this scenario, it wasn't worth it to me because I know I have more cabbage, and the other cabbage that I have is further along. So made a decision to pull it up so that I could refresh this bed with some compost. I'm going to add some granular fertilizer. And what I put on the roots, and when you see me planting, is called mycorrhizal fungi. And it's basically just a root development stimulant. And you don't need a lot. A little goes a long way. But I try to put that on all of my roots of my crops just to kind of help it take off. And it works pretty well too. So I think the only plant that it doesn't really help in that regard is cabbage. At least that's what I've heard. My cabbages, I've used it for cabbages, and I've not used it for cabbages, and I have the same results. So it could work, it could not, I'm not sure, but I put it on everything. And now that I've already harvested everything that I'm planning to harvest, I'm going to go back and clear out this trellis space area, because the trellis is prime real estate in the garden, and I want to make sure that I have enough time and space to get everything that needs a trellis planted, so there'll be enough time to grow. And everything that you see me dumping on the ground, I will pick that up and get it composted. And I'm just putting down more of that granular fertilizer. And these are some spaghetti squash that I started from seed. I usually put them in the big red pots over in the back, but I didn't do that this year because they sprawled out so far. I wanted to see if it was something that I could grow along the trellis. So I'm going to go ahead and get those planted and go from there. Over here, I did start some tomatoes from seed, and they are very slow to take off, which is why I'm only adding 2 already established tomato plants, because I do want to give these seeds that I planted enough time to take off. But in the event that they don't, there are some sprouts, I'm going to do a garden tour video in a day or two just to kind of show you guys what is going on. But I'll show you the small sprouts. But right now, because they're really small, I wanted to at least get some tomatoes already going. Over here, I'm just refreshing these big pots because I'm going to plant some crookneck squash. So normally I do one per pot because they get really big, but I'm ignoring spacing rules because I have a lot of them and I want to plant both of them. So I just added compost. I'm mixing it in. The soil is still pretty loose and everything like that, but I just wanted to mix it in and then add some granular, and then I'll get them planted. You'll notice I only mix the granular into like the top inch of the soil, and that's because as you water it, those nutrients, they will trickle down, and so I don't want them to be planted down too far because if it's too low, the roots may not even touch them. So I started out high because that water will have it go down, and everything that I was dumping on the ground as I was harvesting, I'm putting it in my composter. Thanks so much for watching. And if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I've been so busy lately and just being out in the garden and focusing on purely gardening, nothing else, getting everything harvested, getting new things planted. I started in the morning, I didn't finish until late afternoon, and I enjoyed every second of it. And the only reason I had to stop is because it was getting ready to rain. But ultimately, this is my happy place. This is where I can just nurture my plants, see what's going on, understand everything that's happening, figure out how to pivot, and just enjoy being out in the garden, being out in the sunlight.